And this stream is up. And as usual, I don't have chat up. So, you know, I'll have to bring up chat because chat.
No.
Chat.
Whatever.
Chat. Oh my god, so much to talk about. So much more than I thought about. Well, you know, stuff that's going on. We got stuff for you. What the heck? I just clicked. Oh, that's because I...
Stuff and things?
Yes. Yes, stuff and things. And you know what? We almost made it on time.
We never turn the bitrate down. These things happen.
Who? What we didn't?
The bitrate.
Ow.
We're already up. It's fine.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that later.
Do it.
I keep forgetting. All right, we'll go in 20 seconds. 20 seconds, we'll be live for all you watching just a screen at home. Show 20 seconds. That felt like 10 seconds to me, so I'll call 10 seconds. And we'll go 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, what? And no, there we are. Ha! What's going on, everybody out there in the world of the tubes? We are on the remote show today. It is Friday, February the 26th, 2021, and we have so much to cover and so much to be absolutely excited for and thankful for and stuff like that. How you doing today, Mr. Corey?
I'm doing well. Yourself, man?
I'm doing good, except I have a pigtail for my my earpiece that is like wigging.
Yeah, they always.
It comes out the back and it makes me look like I actually have a pig's head, which, you know. Nobody's like,
well, while you're doing that, first, thanks for everybody for joining us now, and we also obviously want to say thanks. We just tipped our toes into the YouTube Shorts.
Oh yeah.
Shorts like video thing, and wow, thank you so much. We got nearly it's over 1,000 views, is it not? Did you say that?
So we made a mistake on one thing.
So yeah.
Okay. The bigger issue that we had was that we didn't know if the first one that we uploaded actually qualified as a short because we didn't know if it met the vertical format content, right? So
it was just kind of a technicality. Like
yeah,
Mike edited it, and we were like very sure that it actually was more vertical than horizontal, but we weren't sure if there was like something that YouTube needed, like a specific format itself. Like so. But anyway. Yeah, there you go.
So long story short, so we uploaded one, and then I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, wait a second. Let me redo it a little bit, make it a little bit more vertical screen friendly," which I did, and then I uploaded a second one. Well, happily, the combined right now, we're almost at 1,200 views. I think we're at 690 for one of them and 300 and something for the other one. So
thanks for both of those. They're similar.
Yes.
It wasn't intended to have two similar videos.
No.
We weren't but you know what? Thanks anyway.
Thank you so much.
Oh, great.
Right. So and hey, if you discovered us through those videos, what Not Your Average show is all about is we are not, we do something a little differently here, okay? We take the combined interest of the stuff that we like, pretty much figuring out that most of you out there would like that, and that includes racing, cars, aviation, space, renewable energy, technology, reviews, product reviews, cameras. We're the bottom feeders, right? We're not looking to explode in the environment of being absolute specialists. We're looking to be more like you guys, and we're down that road of we kind of do a little bit of everything. So
yeah, I mean, obviously the more we are obviously already interested in all these things, and Mike and I, we talk about this stuff sometimes daily, and we thought, why not we just make a video or a channel rather that we can talk to you guys out there about the stuff.
Yep.
Because we're going to talk about it anyway, so we might as well bring you along for the adventure. And of course, while we talk about this stuff, we learn about them anyway. So as Mike said, we're not going to be, subject matter experts, if you're familiar with that term, in any like one field, like
maybe aviation
all the way in, but we're going to be, well, yeah, I mean, we have some prior experience with aviation, which we can touch on, but I read stuff about breaking new things, that discoveries with physics theories and things. I'm not a physicist, but I am very interested in that stuff, and I read about it. And if there's some cool stuff, we're going to talk about it. So we'll learn some of it as we go along about multiple subjects. So yeah.
And on top of that, what Corey delves into the more the physics stuff and into the robotics, and I'm more the gaming, race car, action kind of thing. But together, when we both share those common interests, we both bring a perspective to each other, because that's how we actually, when we interact and we're talking about certain things, it's just it's a generic conversation, and then it becomes organic into like, oh, that's pretty cool. About let me check that out, and hey, you know, that would be really interesting to talk about, because I don't think anybody's got that type of perspective or something to offer on that particular subject. So and it's just it's the way this is growing, and we're still finding our boundaries. And one of the first experiences that we've always done together for a very long time is go to the Rolex. So that's how the Rolex got included. And Corey, I'm going to tell on you, has previous racing experience. I don't. I've only been a sim racer, but Corey has been, and so that's one of our other, you know, combined passions. Whereas I'm a pretty avid sim racer, and although I just got kicked out of my racing league for going in circles, I
didn't get kicked out.
Okay, but then the other part of it is I'm looking to go back into road course racing in the sim world, so that's something else that we're looking at. But yeah, so that's why we have a tremendous interest in cars. You know, and if you've watched any previous videos, you've seen Corey's Tesla 3. I have my Volkswagen GTI, which, you know, pretty recent one, and I'm still looking to race Corey, which is something we got to get on the record for. And we still got a whole bunch of stuff planned for you, but again, the response overwhelming. Thank you. Long story short.
Yeah, thank you so much. As we come along this journey together, we're excited about it, and we're very happy that you guys could join us as well. So yeah, more to come.
And speaking about journeys, you wanna take them on another journey to a picture we have sitting here waiting?
The Pano?
Yeah, the Pano. I got it. I'm gonna throw it up there right now.
Welcome, guys. If it's your first time you're joining our live stream, you'll see down below, just like any other you know, YouTube channel, we have links down below of all of the things we talk about. One of the things down there near the bottom, we're kind of working backwards here, but is the latest panorama from the Mars Perseverance rover, and it's the first panoramic. So if you guys weren't aware, the NASA just launched or landed a rover, its next rover on Mars just last week, and they've already got some cool images coming back from it.
Oh yeah.
And Mike's gonna bring it up, I'm sure.
It's up.
It's a panorama of the surface of Mars in Jezero crater there, and you know, there's more to come, obviously, about this whole journey that the rover's going on. But it's, you know, there's nothing really to say out of the image itself right away. It just literally just got it this morning. But it's, again, to say, here you go. They've upgraded the cameras. Every time they send a new rover, they upgrade the cameras. We got some HD cameras, and they've stitched, I think, 42 of them together, 42 images. And there you go. It's another cool image of the surface of Mars. So, and you can, if you go to the link down there, you can decide which version or which size picture you want to download. I downloaded
the JPEG and the TIFF, right?
The full TIFF. Yeah, the full TIFF format. It's 610 megabytes. And you can zoom in on that on stuff.
It's neat.
It's cool.
It's cool.
It's cool.
And we're just following up on that because we actually watched it launch. So it's nice to.
Yeah, we watched.
Yeah, we literally watched it, and oh my God, how could we not lead off with this? Sunday, everybody. Sunday, we're doing it again, right? We have.
We'll get. Yeah, exactly. I was gonna get to it, but exactly.
Oh wait, why you didn't tell me when you were gonna get to it?
I was just going to mention here in a minute. Oh. I mean, go ahead, dude.
So here's the deal. So we're back at it again. I believe it's, what is it, Starlink? Which is this Starlink that we're going?
I think it's 17.
It's 17.
Starlink Mission 17 this weekend.
Okay, so if you joined us 2 weeks ago for, I think it was Starlink 19, which launched one day late. At one moment, Starlink 17 was also on an additional launch pad here in the Space Coast community and getting ready to launch. And there was an opportunity for Elon Musk to do something which had never been done before, which is launch 2 rockets into space within 3 hours of each other. Unfortunately, the missed landing of Starlink 19 caused them to go back and investigate some of the burner issues on the retro firing engines for the Starlink that missed the pad and just merely startled some birds. So with that said, we looked, and there's a launch schedule, and I believe the launch schedule is set for 8 o'clock, 8 something. What is it? 8?
Yeah, let's see. Checked earlier. It's, you know, they're kind of, if you guys follow any space launches at all, you'll know these things are in flux.
Always.
All the time for many, many reasons. I'm currently seeing the 28th Sunday evening, 20:37 p.m.
Yes.
20:37.
So with that, we're looking to probably go live possibly 2 hours before the event. We're going to be bringing you a little bit of a different camera setup and hopefully get some of the bugs worked out from our previous launch. Now, if you haven't tuned into one of our previous launches, we bring our own equipment. We are on site, and it will be a tremendous experience. And once again, it will be a night launch. Yeah.
Should be great. Should be great fun. If you haven't seen the last one, come on and join us for this next one on Sunday. Hopefully it'll go. The weather looks okay for the moment. We're excited. So come on, check it out. It'll be cool.
It will be very, very cool. And with that said, well, go ahead.
Just touch on that too. If anybody else is interested in when the next Starship launch at a Boca Chica test, it's currently to be determined, but looking like the first. It looks like it's going to be the first.
Okay.
So that's Monday sometime. That's obviously in Texas, out of the southeast coast of Texas, Boca Chica. So we'll let you guys know.
Yeah. Cool.
Sweet.
All right. So with that said, let's move on because we got so much to cover for you guys today, and we literally have to get it through it all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take over here for a little bit and show you something that is very interesting. If you guys have been paying a lot of attention to the channel, you've noticed that Corey has turned my interest ever since we saw the Now You Can Dance video from Boston Dynamics. It's really, which was creepy, but also really cool in and of itself. Obviously, it sparked some interest in the fact that we've been following Boston Dynamics just a little bit more and a little bit closer. So with that said, now currently, according to the New York Post, the NYPD, which is New York Police Department, has launched one of Spot's, that's Boston Dynamics' robotic dog. They have taken one and deployed it as part of their team for doing actual police work when they're talking about things like home invasions and so on and so forth. And there's actually some video here of Spot doing the job. And we'll just we'll blow that up. Not a lot of video for you, but Spot is actually actively working in the conditions. Now, about a couple of weeks ago, Boston Dynamics made sure that they define the role of what Spot's going to play in their lineup by releasing more add-ons for the robot and giving it more autonomy to operate in places like oil rigs, refineries, and places where people just generally don't want to work. And the fact that Spot is now actually making its way into the world of policing, it brings up some pretty interesting information for what their next target markets could be. Because in all places, I didn't see this going to be a police matter almost immediately. But it's good to see that they're finding places where this can be used. And what's your thoughts on that one, Corey?
So a few things. I mean, some of the things that I had seen possible uses for Spot in the past, obviously were places where humans might, as you said, might not want to go, or maybe limited space, or maybe need extra tools. Like you said, maybe looking at oil platforms for leaks, where they have methane sniffers, different instruments to look for leaks or something like that. Or even on another planet, there's been some work on maybe if these dogs could be the next, not astronaut robot, but some kind of exploring on other places. And to have, I also am with you. I didn't expect to see the dog so quickly on the beat, if I could say. Not that it's not a place that would maybe make sense. But I mean, we've seen things before, not quite in the autonomous robot way, but again, bomb sniffing dogs and things where there's use for that. But here we've got a robot dog. I mean, it's capable of doing things, but it's.
Can we use the term dog? Right? Because it is robot dog, but we use that dog and just as you said that, it dawned on me. I'm like, we're not really talking about a physical dog here. We're talking about a robo dog.
It's not a police dog. Yeah. And I keep saying dog because actually, if you guys look at the article, now we can see on the side of the art of the robot, we see Digidog.
Yeah.
On the side of the
Digidog is actually there. Dog. You can actually see it.
I keep calling it a dog robot, Digidog. Spot. He's got a name, but there you go.
There's Digidog.
So, I'd be interested to know exactly what the mission is of the dog. Is it, and how automated is it? I mean, it can go from point A to point B and take pictures of whatever they want, and fine, that's fair enough. But what are they? It does have batteries. It does have a runtime. And if you guys aren't familiar with Spot, you might know too that Spot can depart from its charging place.
Now it can
go on a mission and come back and then sit down and recharge. So that's all great and fine. But again, you're not talking 20 hours of patrol in the street and then he's got to charge. It doesn't go that long. So somebody else I was talking to just this morning about this brought up a good point to say, okay, that's all great. While police are something that's not going to be in a neighborhood, right? Police patrolling is something people take note of, but not out of the ordinary. You see a robotic dog, it's new, and it may change the way people act, even possibly, the criminals or as somebody again this morning mentioned to me, well, what happens when somebody starts actually messing with the dog? Is the dog
a deputy?
A cop?
I don't know. But the other thing
Does the dog have protections as a police officer? Like what's the
I don't know.
What is it doing? You know what I mean? So I guess it's we're kind of I guess we're a little bit off subject as far as the robotic part. So this isn't as far as the robotics go. I'm not surprised to see that it can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit curious what the on the police side, the implementation, like what is it actually doing?
Well, one of the things that Boston Dynamics was really hot about doing was they were making sure that on this iteration at their press event, that Spot would actually be more integrated to its charging station, and its charging station would take an integral role in being part of its autonomy. So now it's actually going to actively be able to know where its charging stations are, do more work, and then when it needs to, it itself will go back and physically charge so it can go back on its routines. As far as its ability to police and what they're going to do with it, I think from my understanding and this is for their crime intervention team. So if there's a home break-in, if there's something like a hostage situation or something like that, and they need to establish communications, or they just want to get an observer a position where there's no threat to any parties involved. I think that's one of the areas that they were looking to bring this in on. And another curious thing here that, to me, is this one's pretty scarred up already. And I don't know if that means that it's been going through some field testing or if that's the case. But, the other part of it is, look, I would imagine that at some level, you can't deputize, and good question, I guess, you can't deputize, metal. So what would be the scenario there? I don't know.
I don't know, because I mean, the horses they're
deputized.
Police for the dogs themselves, like military dogs, they have actual rank. I mean, they're, they are a service animal, a service person, So I don't know. I don't know. It's this is literally the first implementation I've seen of of the the police dog. So it's a whole new world. I don't know. We'll see.
It's a whole new no.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, but I
like
agree
Mars.
with you too. It depends. One thing, if you're new again to knowing about how Spot works, if you look at the image,
I brought the image down already.
Where you see the blue, everything painted blue in the image, the main body of the Digidog. That's the main robot itself. Everything above that, those wires, that green wires, and that black, I guess it's probably some kind of maybe possible radar scanning the area. All that is what do you call it? Yeah, they're add-ons. So, and that was one of the things they were mentioning about Spot, is that platform on top, you could integrate many different devices, really custom made for whatever your mission was.
Yeah, there's the arm, there's the infrared looker, there's the gas sniffer, there's a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, there's a two-way microphone or two-way communication apparatus on top of that. So yeah, it's cool. I mean, the robot, if you've not seen Spot do some crazy stuff, he goes up and down stairs. He can, with the arm, which isn't on this robot here, but with the arm, it can open doors and stuff. It's pretty crazy.
It is nuts. With that said, we got to move on to the next topic. Otherwise, we're going to run out of time today. So again, if you remember, take a chance, like, subscribe, follow, and we will try to bring you up-to-date information as Boston Dynamics continues to integrate their robots into the world of our future. With that said, it is time for Corey to take the reins and talk to us about UFOs.
Yeah, so first off, just a little bit of background. Both Mike and myself are pilots, registered certified pilots with the FAA, whether they're helicopters and airplanes. Both of us, actually. Mike flew in the airlines for a little while, so it's just a bit of background, just to give you a little bit of reference that the next story is, yes, technically about a quote UFO sighting by a commercial airline pilot or an airline crew. But just to say, we're not just pulling this out of nowhere. We've flown up there. We kind of know a little bit more about this than just the average person. So
for sure,
it's a non-pilot, right? But anyway, so this one we found just today. It's basically saying that the FAA, or the FBI, excuse me, is aware of a report from an American Airlines crew on the 21st that they were in flight and they spotted a cylindrical object moving at rapid speed, which they could not identify. And they called ATC, and ATC also could not confirm that there was any military traffic in the area, and basically no one really knew what it was. But they reported it as a cylindrical object at rapid speed. And I'll just read a bit about it. So this guy said the flight is American Airlines flight 2292 from Cincinnati to Phoenix. And they said, quote, it almost looked like a cruise missile, but they were traveling at 37,000 feet up. And down here it says, following the debrief with the flight crew, we can confirm that this radio transmission was made for American Airlines Flight 2292. So it's confirmed it wasn't just some random somebody, trying to make a story out of it, but it was a real flight crew, and in which the pilot reported seeing the object over New Mexico shortly after noon local time on the 21st of February. The FAA air traffic controllers did not see any objects on their scopes at that time, which is a little interesting.
Very.
And again, the military usually can't confirm that either. One thing to know too, if you're not a pilot, is it's not actually unheard of to see some stuff up in the air. I've also seen some random stuff that I was like, okay, I actually don't know what that was. But one thing that you may or may not know, there are areas, and if you thought, okay, maybe it's a military aircraft, the military does put up zones for the public to know where they might be testing something that might be dangerous for persons or property to be flying in there.
Sure.
That type of area was not active at this time. So
also the spot of where it took place though is also kind of curious, because in that particular area, that's a hotbed for military testing of activity.
It is.
So that's something that
were to look
remains.
at the map and
yeah. If you look at the map, because obviously there's a lot of people out there that have the feeling that there's stuff that went on in Roswell. Okay. Yep. Some of those areas which you're flying into, especially in that particular area, there's lots of open flatlands, which would make it a perfect area for
pretty sparse.
Yeah, pretty sparse
people wise in some of those areas. And just to tag onto this story, while this is interesting, and I don't know if we'll ever hear much more about it, to be honest, because of the nature of some of these kind of stories. I did want to just make reference, and there's some links down below to these things as well. But last year, guys, there was some things declassified by the U.S. Navy, in which case they released actual 3 different videos and some reports of things that U.S. Navy pilots, military airmen, saw in flight, and actually captured some of that stuff on camera. I don't know, Mike might show you some of that. This part of it isn't particularly new, but again, if you don't follow this, why are we talking about UFOs? I'm only bringing this up because this is actual things that have been declassified, like legit resources that we're not just on some random website saying, oh, this guy saw a lizard and whatever, and that's some random hearsay. No. This is from a Freedom of Information declassification by the U.S. Navy, in which the pilots you can hear some of the videos talking, the pilots to each other, about some stuff they can't identify and no one else can identify either. So it's one of those where we found it interesting. I thought we'd just make some light, bring it to light, but not get too deep in the weeds for everybody on what it might be. And
it's interestingly enough
political or anything, but it's interesting because, again, like I said, we're pilots and weird stuff does happen sometimes. And
this one's a cooler video, actually.
Some level we don't know what it is, even the military at some level. But again, if you also know anything about the military, you would know also that if you don't need to know, then you don't need to know. If you're not high enough to know, then you don't. So
here's the video that I'm playing right now. This fast mover that was over the water. This is also part of the declassified information from the U.S. Navy. So the thing that there also is to be considered here. Now, the strangest thing I've ever seen while ever being in an aircraft was actually approaching Chicago O'Hare, of all places, at 6,000 feet. On a downwind leg for an approach, on a visual approach coming back into Chicago, in which we were flying along and we saw a white shiny object, which we're pretty certain was a drone, at 6,000 feet, because birds don't reflect light. And we saw this thing off in the distance. We were like, what the? We're like 6,000 and descending. And I was like, maybe we should pause, because is that a bird? And then before you knew it, I mean, obviously we're approaching it somewhere, north of just around 250 knots. And this thing we see it glint and we're like, what the? Hey, get on the radio. Tell them there's something out there. We're not really sure what that is, but we know that for all intents and purposes, was probably just a drone. So that's one of those things. I've seen also balloons, big balloon, you're passing through 5,000 feet and here comes a balloon. You're like, what the? And I mean, it's more like, what the? Balloon.
Well, go on.
Where'd this thing come from? But I've never seen anything that strange. But it would be, I think, slightly ignorant for people not to understand that there's got to be things out there that we still don't understand about the universe that we're in. I just, not to be mean, but
yeah. Yep.
You have to be open to new ideas, right? And this is one of them.
Yep.
I'm happy if the FBI finds something. It would be great to see if they would, to investigate, because were you familiar with Project Blue Book? I think that was what the FBI's.
I am, yes.
Yeah. So Project Blue Book was their big investigative arm back in the what was it, the 50s, 60s, and so on, that actually went into the investigation of unidentified flying aircraft or objects at that moment, because you don't know if they're aircraft anyhow. But
that's, I mean, we could make multiple, we could probably make a channel out of supposed UFOs, and not that we want to go to fringe news or anything.
No.
The reason we brought it up again, guys, was that this is a verified report from a verified flight crew, which is not abnormal, actually. This happens here and there. And the FBI themselves also said, yep, we know about it. We're possibly looking into it. And then, like I said, I wanted to tag on with, literal freedom of information, declassified video of military aircraft tracking unidentified objects. So awesome. There you go. I mean, won't dwell on it too long, but I thought it was interesting.
Very interesting.
Some fact.
Wrap it up. Tell them what they can do.
Yes, thanks. So if you're still checking and liking this stuff, thanks so much for hanging out with us. We're trying different things with the shorts and all that good stuff. But thank you for the follows, the likes, and the shares. We would appreciate if you haven't already, please do one of those. It helps us out quite a bit. Lets us do other stuff. If you're just joining us, you may not know we do these chats about interesting facts and articles and technology, but we also go on site and do stuff, and all of your support helps us do those other things, like the rocket launch we're going to cover this weekend. Our second rocket launch, and it's a rocket launch by SpaceX, and we do it in person, right? We're going to be 12.5 miles from the pad.
Shorter.
That's the kind of stuff we do.
Shorter. We're going to be shorter this time, right? We're going to be a half mile closer.
It'll be a bit closer than the last one. Okay, I don't know. It's closer than 12 and a half, but I wouldn't say any closer than 8. I don't think it's any closer than that. I can't imagine, but.
Well, that'll be awesome if we get that close. But hey, we look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday night. So, talk about unidentified flying objects. How about we go into this one?
Identified flying rockets.
Yeah, so this thing, all right, so if you guys aren't familiar, a big race fan, this one comes to you from Formula1.com, and legendary Brabham designer Gordon Murray names the new hypercar after Niki Lauda. So if you're not familiar, there's also a link to this in the description below. There's one that Gordon Murray produced, which is called The Unfair Advantage, which basically talks about the relationship that he had with Niki Lauda and the ability for him to understand during his racing career that the number one important thing to chase after was championships. So much so that back in the heyday of Formula One in the 1978-1979 area, Lauda famously started winning races with the radical BT-46B fan car. So the fan car. We're not talking about just fans, folks. We're talking about actual physical fans were mounted underneath the bottom and the tail of the actual F1 car, which actually created a negative pressure underneath the car, which enabled it at some points to go around corners 30 miles an hour faster than the average field car that day in Formula One. Well,
think of it kind of like a suction cup that moves along.
Yeah, kind of, right? So
in a way.
So at that level, also now Gordon Murray has decided to introduce to the world his T.50s, which you can actually see here, which is a Now, I'm going to be honest. When I first saw this, I kind of thought it was a McLaren. Okay?
I did as well.
However, even taking the embodiment of a Formula One styled car just like this and kind of following the shape of the McLaren, he's actually gone back to the McLaren roots, which is it's designed around the driver being in the center of the car. Ironically, guess what? It has retained the fan design. And this fan will actually go on. As soon as the car achieves a speed of 50 miles an hour, the fan will go on 100% and stay on. And this car is also capable of producing 725 base horsepower. And that's from a bespoke Cosworth V12 3.9 liter engine. Now, the other thing that they're talking about is that this thing is going to be bespoke. It's going to have 25 built for the actual racing versions, and then another group built just for the road-going car. However, I think it's exciting to see that there's going to be another entry, as we've covered before this week, or was it this week or last week, which AMG is also entering the hypercar market.
I think it was last week.
Was it last week? Okay, so Suddenly we're on the verge.
And Aston Martin's, we didn't talk about it on stream yet, but Aston Martin actually is entering that as well.
Yeah, so they're coming up with one.
Valkyrie, is it the Valkyrie or the I can't remember, but it's they're also, Aston Martin's also coming back too. So there's some stuff happening in the hypercar market for sure.
So the and I guess that's one of the things we have to start discussing, because as these cars become more prevalent, look, you and I both know downforce is everything in racing. As soon as you can get a car to go around a corner, if you can get it to go flatter, faster, and you can put the accelerator down to the floor sooner, that means that car is going to be relatively faster than the competition. And with this van design, which you and I are both fans of, quote unquote, aerodynamics.
Fans.
Yeah, I had to say it. It's looking like they're taking that unfair advantage that they had back then and applying it somewhere along the line of making the average driver better. Now, in the video, in the link in the description below, Gordon said that one of the things that was really frightening for Nikki to do at first was to understand that he could enter a corner 30 miles an hour faster and it would hold the corner, which if you're thinking in terms of a race car driver, Corey, and you know the speed of what a normal lap progresses by, what would that do to your mindset?
It does. I have firsthand experience exactly with that. So I, without going into all of my racing experience or past, but I did drive multiple cars that have only mechanical grip, like no aerodynamic downforce, no aerodynamic effects on the car, just pure, just kind of, I'd say kind of plain race cars, full body, no mechanical grip or no aerodynamic grip. It's all mechanical. So just the car, like your street car, right? If you're watching the stream and you get a car, there you would know if you took that street car out, there's a certain speed at which it will not hold the same radius of a turn around a turn, right? If you go into turn too fast, you're going to slide out to the outside at some point, right? If you're going too fast. It was difficult to get used to going to a car that was a purpose-built race car that was the one I actually finished driving in near the end of my career, that was kind of a full body purpose race car, flat bottom, tray bottom, lots of aerodynamic effects all over the car. And knowing all the driving you've done before, even on the same track, I've been to, tracks where I've driven the other cars before, knowing how fast you can go into that turn, and then just knowing in your mind, you just need to go into it faster, because at some point, literally, the hardest part for me was going into some of these turns and knowing that normally I would have to slow down to make the turn. And then knowing in these cars that are purpose-built with all this aerodynamic effects on them, knowing that if you slow down, you're actually not going to make the turn. You'll actually skid out. And you have to actually keep going the speed you're going. And then turn. And it's going to turn. And it's like, oh my gosh, this doesn't make any sense.
It almost sounds like the movie, what was it, Days of Thunder, when he goes, Cole, we put new sticker tires on your car and it will hold on the top. But and look, if you're ever driving in the simulator world, and that's my only experience, because I've never mounted any aerodynamics on my GTI, but I've seen people attempt it, and obviously we're not talking about the same level of mechanical grip versus aerodynamic grip. But however, it's really interesting when you get in a prototype car in the simulation world. It's the same thing. The car will handle a corner at 76 miles an hour, but if you fall off below 50, you're going off into the weeds.
Yeah,
because
you won't do it anymore.
Yeah, it won't do it anymore. And it's one of those things that, look, and the unfair advantage is that Gordon Murray is by no means a novice when it comes to designing vehicles. He's obviously excelled at this. And if one would come to mention about the fact of his integration into other race teams as engineering exploits, you could almost look to him as almost as a Carroll Shelby, in the same effort of designing a car and bringing something that could have really, really serious impact to the hypercar market. So
just by going with these renders on these images.
Yeah.
You can see the entire car is built for that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Not just the fan. We're talking about the fan, of course.
Sure.
But from the front splitter to the things on the front the quarter panels near the front. I mean, everything is designed for handling and grip.
It is.
And aerodynamic additions, aerodynamic grip additions. It's just all over the place.
All right, but we have to talk about this view right here, because if you're looking at the same view that the front view on the car, it's gonna.
Okay, let me get it.
It screams McLaren Formula One though. The original.
So does.
It really does.
The old McLaren F1, like the car, not the the actual car called the Formula One McLaren. It looks like a lot like that.
Yeah. So they're gonna have that to go against them. But hey, hypercar is gonna be what? I know it was delayed, but I'm pretty sure it's coming back as a series, and I have to do more homework on it because I want to see these hypercars actually square off in each other. But it's going to be in the not too distant future that, hey, I actually got a ride in one of the original, supercars the other day too. I got a 308 GTS ride in the Ferrari, and I'll just talk about Pete if I can bring that up on the channel. However, that's interesting as well. But hey. More interesting racing news. We're going to keep paying attention to this space because obviously for us it's very exciting, and who knows, maybe if we continue to grow in that direction and we get known for it, people will invite us to go see these cars.
Would love to. Like,
vague hint.
Would love to.
Vague hint to the internet. So
would love to.
Remember, everybody, if you get a chance, like, subscribe, follow, and we'll continue to bring you more fresh content and push the boundaries of what the Not Your Average show can do. With that said, what?
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Good. Yeah, it's good. Yep.
Sweet. With that said, we've got some bad news, and it's I'm gonna let Corey just take this one and move it on down the road.
Yep.
There you go.
So moving on to our next thing. So we'll go back to space news, since we certainly love talking about space and keeping track of all developments in the space industry. So as Mike kind of hinted to, it's not good news. So we do a lot of covering of SpaceX, but one thing you guys should know is we don't want to just cover just SpaceX. We like everybody who's trying to further the private and government funded issues with space and space exploration and all that. So this next one is from space.com. We found it there. It's literally just a few hours ago. And it's Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin, which, if you guys know, has a pretty big operation also on the Cape in Florida near Cape Canaveral. Will no longer launch the first New Glenn rocket until late 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Something to know: the New Glenn rocket is their giant heavy lift rocket that they had in development, based off some of the research they will be doing with their smaller one, which is New Shepard. And New Shepard actually has flown, I think, 7 times. They've got a decent amount of good data on New Shepard. It's going okay. But this main launch here, their heavy lift contender, the New Glenn, pushed back to 2022. Basically, the abridged version, it's because they didn't win the recent National Space Security Space Launch Contract for Phase 2.
NSSL.
They lost out to Blue Origin, or lost out to Northrop Grumman, or lost out to SpaceX and United Launch Alliance. And so that really there's no pressing issue for them to get as it would be New Glenn up like ASAP.
Right.
It's interesting. It all kind of is kind of like a big puzzle, because if you guys remember, obviously Jeff Bezos just stepped down as CEO of Amazon and mentioned one of the things he was going to want to focus on was his space stuff with Blue Origin. And again, like I mentioned before, Jeff, or with Mike and I, we're both interested to see really any of these companies really take off and do good stuff and have good competition in the private and of course U.S. Rocket industry, which we're super excited about.
You said take off,
which is obviously why we're going to go watch another launch. So I did say take off. It happens every time, man. I talk about rockets and I'm talking about advancements, like take off.
Look, it's not all bad news though for Jeff, because obviously Jeff is he's looking to do the same thing and enter the same market as SpaceX with their Starlink competitor, which I forget the name of off the top of my head. So it's not all bad news for them. So
don't recall.
Right, I think they're still very much in the competition for providing more space travel, because that is part of the places that he wants to grow. They've put a lot of infrastructure right here into Canaveral Island. Mm-hmm. And really to beef up their space exploration, their whole goal there was to just continually, improve, get better, build more rockets. They've done their vertical testing just like SpaceX was. It's unfortunate that, look, let's face it, Musk is killing it right now. Okay, SpaceX is destroying the marketplace. Even SLS, NASA's own launch system, which was the remnants of the old shuttle engines, they're finding it difficult to compete right now in this marketplace. And that beckons another question, which is bad news for Blue Origin, but great news for SpaceX, and the fact that everybody that was banking on Starship being the replacement for Falcon Heavy, well, guess what? Falcon Heavy is the one that's going to be moving this other material, so it's going to be another win in the SpaceX category right now, which is astounding.
Yes. So yeah, Mike's alluding to the fact that some of the gateway components for NASA's gateway system back to the moon and interstellar space, won out to SpaceX and Falcon Heavy. So, one thing that maybe to mention is just as we're saying, we obviously wish Blue Origin to not go away. We'd like more competition and more rockets. These are also going off of the business model that they're reusable. They're going to take off, land, come back. Interestingly enough, I did see just in this article, and I was going to relate it to SpaceX as well, but they also saying that they are going to take off these heavy rockets, the New Glenn, take off and then land possibly offshore on ships, very much like SpaceX already does. Which brings me to the next thing. I know a viewer mentioned to us during our last coverage of our launch, but also we were going to do and maybe talk a bit more during the next launch we cover is those oil rigs that SpaceX bought and is retrofitting to land offshore for Starship, not for Falcon, but for Starship. And that's going on too. So with that, we're going to talk more about the oil rig stuff during the launch coming over the weekend. So be sure to tune in for that, and obviously the launch. But yeah, so it's New Glenn and obviously Blue Origin. I think they've got some stuff that's good, but they didn't win out on the contract. So
I wonder how that hurts their bottom line, because look, it's worth the discussion that as Bezos is now going to probably be more involved, because he said specifically that was, as you mentioned, that's the reason why he's stepping down from being the head of Amazon to focus on the energies there. Okay,
other stuff, including the space.
Yeah. So the other part of it is, if you look at a per cost, and this is one thing that I'd love to get into as a larger discussion, but it gets so different when the fact that that SpaceX is basically sending Starlink, which is their own components, up on their own rockets. So it's almost like a win-win there. And as Bezos is trying to do the same thing, as they're trying to play a little bit of catch-up here, I just wonder how much that market is going to erode and what places it leaves them to enter. And then I wonder about the actual physical costs, about what it's going to take for Bezos and Blue Origin to be profitable and understand that relationship of developing New Glenn and their space arm is still a worthwhile investment. Because right now, yes, competition is great, but at what point does it become too costly?
Yeah, I mean, as we talk about competition is good in the marketplace, certainly it is. And, private space launches is not any different in that. But to realistically think as well that there are only so many companies, government or otherwise, that can afford to pay another company to launch something into space, because it's still expensive, even though it's less so with a reusable rocket like SpaceX and Blue Origin eventually as well. There still is only so much money to go around that could pay for a company to do that. So it's like you said, with competition, and then of course if you get in too late to a market, there might not be anything left, and that could be something too. I mean, and while I say that, I have to also acknowledge that many other companies, even just private companies that aren't launching their rockets, but they do like maybe cube satellites, smaller satellites for whether it's research or just even some business purposes for their own company. There's a lot of that stuff happening too. And now with SpaceX, if you guys are familiar with what SpaceX calls ride sharing for their rockets, I mean, I think we mentioned in a previous stream, you could get your CubeSat to orbit on a Falcon 9 through SpaceX for $1 million. Now, okay, yes, $1 million is expensive. Don't get me wrong. I know that's expensive, but if you're comparing it to what it would cost any company to launch their own CubeSat to actual orbit, in the past, it's cheap.
Well, there's another player that we're also forgetting about that just as you were talking, I was thinking about it. Virgin Galactic.
Yes.
They have their launch platform, which is their massive airplane that has the ability now to fire rockets from the belly of it, which cuts cost immensely, because you're deploying at a much higher orbit, or excuse me, a much higher altitude, thus not having to burn nearly as much fuel to get to a certain percentage of acceleration and height, at least not in raw rocket fuel. So I'm wondering where they're going to be as a player, because let's face it, space has no pun intended, but has exploded into a market.
Wow.
I had to be cognizant of it because you said takeoff before. Now if I say, anyhow, the point of it is that the marketplace has shifted in value, because as SpaceX continues to do what it's doing and becomes so successful, right? Look, even a booster that falls into the ocean for him is not a complete loss, because if the thing made 6 cycles on it, it's still almost like hey, you could be upset about the fact that you put some waste at the bottom of the ocean. However, you didn't do it 6 other times, right?
Yeah, of course.
And
of course.
So there's a lot more to it. And look, it's transforming our community for number one. It has transformed our community. It has given us the opportunity to cover more launches, which I hope they don't become so commonplace where everyday people don't think that they're exciting anymore. However, there's a lot there. Yeah. There's a lot there to get your feet onto. That's for sure. So what do you think if you were going to put up a CubeSat? What would your CubeSat today, in today's marketplace, what CubeSats could people be putting up there outside of scientific? Because I was racking my brain trying to think of what marketplace could really use something like that.
I'm not sure off the top of my head, because obviously, I think, okay, maybe some type of communication stuff, but those satellites are usually larger than that.
Right.
And the thing to know about CubeSats as well, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think I am, but looking at general use CubeSats, they're kind of only put in a certain orbit that the orbit decays after, I don't know, 6 months or so. They're usually not up there a long time, CubeSats, and because I know a lot of these CubeSats don't even have a lot of like their own maneuvering system on board.
Right.
They're really deployed at a certain altitude with the intent that they will deorbit themselves at some set time, because that's kind of, while we tried to minimize the amount of space debris we have up in space, these satellites are also not designed, or not intended really, to last up there for many decades. Well, not even that long, of course. Most satellites don't last that long. But I mean, I don't know, man. Off the top of my head, I don't know. I mean, with so many things kind of going up, I mean, let's take a look at that. Actually, let's see if we can get the payload manifest of some of these CubeSats on one of these other rockets coming up, and see what people are doing with them.
I actually, and that sparked another interest because you brought it up, and orbital trash, right? That's another a company a couple of years ago was very keen on the fact that they wanted to go up there and start their own orbital collection, which would basically be like putting magnets and other things up in space that would start collecting some of these fragments, because apparently as these things start to achieve lower Earth orbits, they do threaten other things that have human inhabitants on them, and other missions that want to go to places, because you have to get through this debris field. And the general, like you said there, by getting stuff to deorbit by itself, that's one way around it. And if it's a CubeSat, you probably burn up on entry. However, the more we put up,
designed to just fully evaporate, or fully evaporate, obviously, fully vaporize.
And the more we do put up there, though, and that's one of the other reasons why I really like what Elon's doing with SpaceX, is because it's, except for a couple of blown hatch bolts and pieces here and there, which usually fall back to Earth at some point, and actually, famously, this area, we have a lot of quote-unquote shooting stars, because you get bolts, you have, random pieces of junk that just went up as a booster, that are associated, and they fall back, and you see a shooting star, you go, oh, that's cool. But it's interesting about also orbital trash and reducing our footprint as we achieve more in communications and go to space.
Yep.
So hats off to them, but, sorry, Blue Origin. Hopefully you guys will get your rockets up by 2022. And,
exactly.
Hey, if you do it from Space Coast, Florida, maybe we'll cover it right here on the channel.
I'm totally down with that. Yeah, if anybody from Blue Origin is watching, and you guys would like us to come out and cover you guys, like a whole show on Blue Origin, you bet. I mean, we're not just a SpaceX show. We like rockets.
Yeah.
And if you're down, let us know.
Because what goes up must come down, and if
love to, yeah. I mean, it's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. That's it, man. I think we actually got 10 more minutes if you got anything else to discuss, because the only other things that I've got is what our schedule and timeline would be for the for Sunday, because a couple of things that we need to really go over is, and if you guys don't know, I think it was our Perseverance video when we were setting up during thunderstorms, there's a lot to be set up. However, I think this time we're going to be a little bit more streamlined, which would make our workload a little bit easier.
Maybe less thunderstorms. That would be nice.
That would be nice. So
we literally had to strap the tent down because we wanted to blow away. And that's bad. So it was.
They've changed the forecast. They've dropped the higher temperatures. Looks like Monday is going to be the higher day now. It looks like it's only going to be a high of 82 and clear skies now for Sunday, which is one thing.
Sunday.
That looks good.
20:37 Eastern time.
20:30. And then, what about the moonrise? Did we figure out? So one of the other things that really helps us out is if there's actually a large moon or a full moon. And if we get an opportunity, that gives us more light to work with, so you might get better imagery. So that's one of the other things that we're working on. I think we were saying it rises like 10 o'clock in the air, or 2 o'clock.
What day we say? It's the 28th?
The 28th.
Moon rise, 8:01 p.m.
So we could have moonrise.
Its heading is 087, so that's pretty good, actually.
That's gonna be right.
That's
to the south.
Good, actually. That could be a really cool shot.
That could be really nice.
YouTube. Like, not even kidding. That could be really cool.
Yeah.
Like, real cool. It'll be It'll come up. It would be up 36 minutes, the same direction as the pad.
That could be really cool. We should get some really good shots of that.
And its moon phase is 98%. So yeah, it'll be pretty full.
Okay,
pretty full.
So
it'll be great.
It'll be worth
very cool.
tuning in just for that. So if you just joined us, one of the things that we're talking about is, as we cover Sunday night's launch, we are going to have an epic event, which is going to be basically moonrise and rocket launch within 36 minutes of each other. And the coordinates for where the launch pad should be from us and where the moon will be, the alignment will be very nice for picture taking. Awesome. Dude, that could be so cool.
Yeah, I agree. That's I knew it was gonna be close, but that's real cool.
We could end up with some epic shots. So we'll have to make sure the wide-angle lens is working a little bit better. And I think we've got our workaround set for us, so that should be fantastic for everyone involved. Oh boy, I'm excited. You excited?
That's real cool.
Yeah, so we're gonna work out. So we also realized a couple of things that we're also looking to improve on is our audio. We realized that when we do audio testing locally, it comes out clear, but when we review it back on YouTube, it's a little bit hissy. So we're gonna try to figure out some of those issues. Still working around camera shake. I was gonna use some stabilizers underneath one of the tripods for the big camera, but after doing more reading, it says that if the whole platform is shaking, it doesn't do anything for you. So we still have to kind of maybe see if we can get that worked out a little bit, because we're using some big lenses, heavy equipment, donated, by the way. So we're thankfully borrowed. Yes, borrowed. Borrowed.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much.
If you're watching, thank you
for the person that has lent them to us. Thank you. And then the other thing is the data stream. We definitely have to get that controlled, because one of the dock stations that we do use to run an additional monitor does not allow the MacBook Pro to charge at the same time, which Corey caught with, what was it, 3% battery life left?
Yeah, legit. I was sitting there during the live stream. Yeah, we were on site, and I was like, that says it's about to die. We need to do this like now, like 2 seconds ago.
So we'll get to the bottom of all those issues and everything else, but we're looking forward to bringing you guys the best we possibly can. And looks like the weather's going to be great. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys there. It'll be pretty awesome.
Excited. It'll be sweet.
It will be sweet. So with that said, I'm done. Are you done?
I'm done. Yeah, it's been good.
All right. So we wish you guys a great weekend, but we will see you Sunday, probably hopefully around 6 o'clock, and we'll be sitting there. We'll have a nice conversation, and it'll be a great time. And also looking to roll some new graphics out and a couple other things for the launch. So with that said, thank you so much for the support in the shorts. Thank you so much for the upcoming launch. We'll see you guys there. And if you don't see us then, take care and have a great weekend.
Yeah. Obviously, if they cancel it or move it or something, we'll put something on the channel for you guys.
Oh yeah.
And we'll be looking for the next. Whenever it goes, we'll be looking for that. So.
Is it time that we start having a Discord, or maybe because we probably need an alternate place of conversation? I would say that
I suppose we probably just need a Twitter. That might be the easiest.
All right.
If we want to do that, I mean, we could set up a Discord. Not everybody's got Discord.
Right.
Not everybody may know what Discord is. We have a Discord placeholder. We've already set up a Discord. We have a placeholder Discord.
That's right.
Set up.
You did that.
Expand. Yeah, I did that a while ago. But maybe we could talk about just like a Twitter or something that's kind of just rapid fire updates.
I think that's the time has come that we might have to enter the Twitterverse.
Dang.
As disgusting as that may sound. Anyhow. All right. Well, I'm done. Everybody.
As me too. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done. Yeah, it's been good. Thank you so much.
Sunday. be there, and we'll see you guys in a few. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Easy. See you then.
Bye-bye.
See you next time.
I don't know if the music is playing.
Excellent.
Yep, well, I think the music has bowed out on us. We have no...
Oh, man.
The music has not... So much for music. We're out of here.
And if you're still there, you know, we do talk over this on purpose.
Oh, yeah, that's what we do. All right, peace out, guys. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.